Yeah. Alright. I guess I'm going to go ahead and start with this video. I don't know if I'm going to do this in two parts. I had a dream last night, but first I'm going to share part two to the video I just did. Entitled basically Unrestrained. I'll do a recap of the first one was about. I went down to Cleveland, Tennessee, and had attended this revival down there. The people, John Kilpatrick and his church down in Mobile, Alabama, that is experiencing revival down there. He was also the same one, pastor of the church in Pensacola that had the major revival there down there many years ago. And now his new church in Mobile, Alabama is having revival. And his team had come up to Cleveland, Tennessee to T.L. Lowry's church, and we're doing some services there. And so I had to go to Atlanta that weekend on Saturday, so I went down early to go to the Thursday, Friday services in Cleveland. And the Lord gave me a revelation, and I shared that on the first video that you really need to see. That second day, after really receiving an impartation of fire or just electrical power charge of God that first night, and praying all night under the power, and then getting up the next morning, going to the library, and then coming back and going to pray some more, and the Lord stopping me in the midst of my praying, said, sit down, open the Word, go to 1 Samuel, read through that story, and then from chapter 2 to 4, in the 4th chapter, the Lord showed me what it was, the story of Eli, and story of Samuel being born and raised in the temple, maturing as a prophet, but Eli being judged and his two sons being judged. Eli was being judged because he had not restrained his two sons. Not that he didn't act faithful as a man of God and priest himself, and he did good training Samuel, but he failed with his two sons, and he did not restrain them from the evil that they did, and that they proliferated over the children of Israel. And so God revealed to me that this represented America. Eli did, and the two sons. Eli represented the governmental powers and the governmental powers of the church, the leadership of the church. Had not restrained America, had not restrained New York and Hollywood, had not restrained music and television, which were the two spheres and two geographical locations representing the two sons. And that defilement that they spread over Israel had been spread over America. And so I went down on Saturday morning, left, checked out, went to Atlanta, got to my hotel down there, and basically just sat there all day, just blown away, just under heaviness, not heaviness like an oppression of the devil, but just kind of traumatized or whatever, just when the Lord comes and by his presence and shows you just heavy judgment. Although I was already believing America was going to be judged and believed in the prophecies I was hearing, it was expecting it, I did not was not ready for the revelation that God would give me, or I was ready, but or he wouldn't have given it to me, but it just impacts you in such a way. I sat around the hotel all day, just kind of, whoa, just wow, and then finally around supper time, I decided to get up and go down out of the hotel to the McDonald's next door. This is the part I forgot to share. I walked over to the McDonald's, and I got in there, and there's this guy standing way back away, and I asked him, had he ordered yet? And he said no. And so the lady's up there fiddling around, and nobody's up around the front, but I like to cut in front of people. I don't like it when they stand way back unless they've already ordered, but some people just do that. They want to be called up to the counter to be able to order. So finally she gets through, and she's not going in a hurry because nobody's standing at the counter, and finally when she gets through fooling around, she stands up and says, can I take anybody's order? And I said, you are next. And so he steps up in front of me, and I didn't notice up until then because it wasn't showing in the front. But what I saw is something I've often has disgusted me, and I've said, Lord, why doesn't anybody, in the past I've said this, Lord, why doesn't anybody do something? I'm not an authority, and when I've seen in stores or restaurants, why doesn't the store manager or the restaurant manager kick them out for indecent exposure? Why don't the cops pull them over on the streets for indecent exposure? And I've often said that, Lord, they just, And so anyway, the guy stepped up in front of me, and lo and behold, he was one of those guys that had his pants pulled down. They often have longer shirts pulled over there, though, so it doesn't see and show their underwear. You can see that their pants are pulled down because they're baggy, but often at least these guys have sense enough to wear long shirts out in public, but not all. This guy didn't. And his pants were pulled down, and his whole butt of blue underwear from his white pants. He was wearing white pants, grayish white shirt, color. Stepped up in big blue underwear sticking out the back, with his butt sticking out the back, with his pants pulled down below his butt, and that is just sickening, and it is sickening. But it's everywhere in the streets now. It used to become a fad. They used to do it in the prisons. It was something that people did in prisons to communicate, hey, I'm available. And it's become a fad amongst young people. It's awful. And anyway, and he stepped up in front of me, and I saw that, and I just thought, oh. And then I heard the voice of the Lord say, see, they go unrestrained. And just reminded me, what he had showed me the day before in the Word. Eli had not restrained them. These people walk around America, the cops don't restrain them. I mean, indecent exposure is a law on the books. They're supposed to go around unclothed. Nobody restrains them. McDonald's manager doesn't kick them out. Nobody kicks them out of their establishments. The police don't do anything to them in the streets. They walk around in defilement. Just another example of the things that are defiling our nation. Is, whether it's other things that this video isn't about. There's lots of I'm not going to talk about pornography or homosexuality or anything in here. I'm focusing on what the Lord said, and just they go unrestrained. They go unrestrained, and it just blew me away. They're unrestrained. Nobody stops them. They're unrestrained. This was the example God showed me, that evil is unrestrained in America. Nobody stops it. It just, whatever the enemy wants to spread and proliferate in the streets, he's allowed to do so because nobody's going to stop him. So, anyway, I'll conclude this video, make another clip of the other one, and if they're not too long, I can attach them together. But anyway, that's it. That's part 2. I'll entitle this Unrestrained. So, judgment set. We're unrestrained. Man, we need to pray. We need to seek God. The body needs His mercy. The body needs to seek Him because the world around us is unrestrained, and we need to make sure we ourselves are restraining ourselves and drawing near to the Most High and abiding under His shadow, because that's the only refuge. The Lord is the ark. He is our refuge. And we need to be abiding under His covering, because in the coming days, those that are not abiding under His refuge are not abiding under the doorpost covering with the blood on it, basically. And the judgment that's coming. Anyway, thank you.